to putting this together, as this is a very timely event to happen as we're coming into, it is, as Mayor Pro Tem, it's pretty much a year-round fire season. But yeah, a little bit about myself. Like Laura mentioned, my name is Cheyne Maule. I'm the division chief for this area. I cover, essentially act as the fire chief for the city of Rancho Santa Margarita, Mission Viejo, San Juan, San Clemente, and Dam Point. So this is my area. This is home for me. I grew up in San Clemente, live in Mission Viejo with my kids now and my wife. But Rancho Santa Margarita has a special place in my heart because this is where my wife grew up, right here in Dove Canyon, and my in-laws are still there. So we spend a great deal of time in this town, date nights, and just enjoying this beautiful, beautiful town. So looking forward to all the concerts this summer. I'll introduce some of my team that's here because the team, you're only as good as your team, but honestly, my team that's here tonight to help, they're the brains of the operation. They have a lot more experience in a lot of this stuff, as you'll see as we go on, than I even do. So in the back, you have Chris Berry, obviously our education specialist, and he will be back there with a great deal of information. You have Franco Rivera Martinez back here. He will also have some information for you. You have Michelle Schneider, that is my admin assistant. She keeps me in line pretty much. Jeremy Balone is my captain that is assigned to work with me every day. He has to deal with me every day. Levi Medina is your local battalion chief who works right out of Station 45 around the corner. So he's here on a shift schedule. So he works 24 hours a day. So he's here with us. Like mentioned, Truck 45 will be here in a little while, and you guys will get to use some fire extinguishers. And Jeff Shelton is our, I gotta get this right, our fire behavior specialist. But Jeff Shelton he's known throughout the fire community as one of the smartest brains in fire behavior and predictions. And so I actually asked him to come, and he's gonna follow me up with some really pertinent information for you guys on what this year's fire season looks like. So I think that's probably what we're all wondering at this point. So. As you guys know, all you have to do is look out the windows. The threat of the community of Rancho Santa Maria coming into a wildfire, or a wildfire coming into this community is a real threat. You guys have lived that, you've seen that, you've seen smoke in the air, and it makes us all very nervous. I love hearing that public safety is the #1 priority of this city, obviously, for the OCFA and the OCFD, that's our priority as well. So we need you to partner with us in our attempt to stop the rapid spread of the wildfires, to be prepared for these wildfires when they come into the communities, and really just to stop the spread of them through the communities, because that's when it gets really sad, when the fires come into the communities and certain homes maybe don't have the protections and things like that other ones do, and they start to burn and the fire just continues progressing, endangering everybody. So that's the big push tonight, is just to get you to partner with us in this whole effort, because we're only as good as our partners, and that's all of you. So thank you for being here, it means a lot. I'm going to start off with a video, mostly because everybody likes videos and no one wants to listen to me talk all night. But this is this will be a video of the coastal fire. You guys probably remember the coastal fire happened in May. So not fire season, right? But fire season pretty much here. May of last year, coastal fire happened, came into the community of Laguna Niguel. We ended up losing 20 homes. This was just a normal day in May. I was actually talking to Jeff about it. It wasn't weather that we were predicting any kind of fire. There weren't even winds really predicted, just some light winds, but Jeff does fire predictions every day and kind of says, if it's going to be a good day, bad day, fire-wise. That was just a normal day. That fire started, the onshore winds down there in Laguna Beach, coming into Laguna Niguel and into the canyon there, were crazy, crazy winds. And fire started real small, some embers, which we'll talk about later, blew across the canyon, got under those homes in Laguna Niguel, and unfortunately we lost a lot of homes in that community. And so there was reasons for some of those homes being lost, but some of them, unfortunately with fire and Mother Nature, sometimes you just really can't stop it. All you can do is do the best you can to be prepared for it. So we'll go ahead and watch this video here. I love this last picture here. This is Bill Lackey. He used to work in Jeremy's position, but he went in and was able to save the wedding photos you guys saw from the photo there. So that was a really special moment there. But as you can see, that fire was pretty intense, and it came kind of out of nowhere. Having been there, I was on that fire. I think probably most of us were on that fire. Talking to the residents that were there, a couple of them, an elderly couple that I talked to, just got woken up by a neighbor, and it was right now. So they grabbed they had a go bag, like ready to go, so that in case a fire ever came, they could go, and it had some special family things in it. A lot of people lost everything those days. That fire burned through there, and it was a really sad moment. But it's just kind of to get you guys in the perspective of these can happen, and they can happen quick. So it's really what we do to prepare for them that's really going to help save you guys. Save you guys important things in your families. Let's see, so we're going to go ahead and continue on here. This is just to give you perspective, because there's a lot of talk about, this is the coastal fire, this is another angle of it. You know, talk about defensible space and fuel modification. Sometimes that's great, and so you might feel really safe because you have a fuel mod behind your house, or you have really good defensible space. Some of these homes had fantastic defensible space, and they even had a fuel mod going down to a fire road going down behind the community. If you just look at it before it burned, you might go, oh, they're ready for a wildfire. But sometimes when those winds come and the terrain that was there, sometimes we just can't stop it. So it's really going to be on what you guys do to take care of your homes and things like that to prepare for when these fires come into your communities. We're going to go, so what we use here is what's known as the Ready, Set, Go program. It's a statewide program essentially, but it really is for you guys. It makes it easy. There's going to be some handouts in the back that you can pick up that'll walk you through each step of that. The ready, the set, and the go. And that's what we're going to kind of go through today to help you guys understand how to prepare for these events. So there are basically 3 types of wildfire exposure to your homes. The embers, and we'll show some video later to walk you guys through the embers, but the embers are the big things. These embers is probably our biggest problem in the housing communities, because these embers will come in, they'll find something combustible around your house, or find a way to get into your attic, things like that, and that's really what lights the fires off. On the coastal fire alone, there was a house three streets down. We would have never thought it burned up, but the embers got into that garage, and we lost that whole house too. So the embers are a big deal. There's some things that we'll walk through that'll help you guys protect from the embers getting in your homes. But they are probably the biggest threat to your homes during these fires. There's also direct flame contact. That's going to take some intense flames. But in the coastal fire, a few of those homes just took direct flames because the topography leading up to the homes and the way that the wind was going, unfortunately, there's really nothing you can do when the winds are going that strong and the fuel is so thick. And so direct flame contact, and then the radiant heat, the heat coming off the fire can light off combustibles that might be inside your windows, next to your homes, things like that. That will also cause an issue for your homes. You'll see in this upper right picture, it's kind of a picture of a house. It's got some measurements, but that's what's known as your immediate, home ignition zone. So essentially the idea being keeping the combustibles away from the side of your house. We'll show a video in a minute of some of those embers getting onto some stuff next to a house, and that stuff lit on fire, and essentially that's what got the house on fire. So, keeping the flammable items away from the home will help keep your home safe during these fires, because those embers will get there, they'll light them off and cause things like that. Your hardscape and like your landscaping, who has like bark and things like that in their planters? Well, a lot of that stuff can light off, right, and cause some issues. So we recommend using hardscape like pavers, concrete, other non-combustible mulch materials. There is some mulch out there that is non-combustible. Look at using those things so it's not touching right against your house. If you have dead and dying weeds and grass and dead plants right next to your house, keep those clean, keep those cleaned up. And fire season's year-round, so keep those things moved away from your house. Check your roofs and gutters. Who's got gutters on their house? How often do we clean them? Not often, right? But gutters can cause a serious problem. You get some of those embers in there and they light off all that dry stuff that's inside your gutters, and your house could be completely protected, stucco siding, everything, but you get gutters and the fire gets up underneath the eaves and then you got a real problem. So clean your gutters out. Obviously keep keep branches and trees away from your home. Limit plants that are dead and dying against your house, whatever that. If you keep firewood in your own home or outside of your home, keep it at least 10 feet away from your house. You always see those basically piled up on people's patios, but those will light off. Things you just don't think are going to happen, they happen. Combustible fencing and gates. There's a lot of different options for fencing and gates, but we do see on a lot of these, the embers, they get the fencing going, and the fencing makes its way to the house, and then we lose the house too. So it can be expensive, but look at replacing those as well. And boats and RVs. If you're storing boats and RVs on the side of the house, on the coastal fire, most of the cars were burning in the streets and things like that. So if you have a boat or an RV with a cover on it, typically those things are going to light off. So try and not keep them right up against your house, or get them out of there if you know a fire's coming. So this is just going to be a video that we talked a little bit about the embers. If you haven't been in one of these firestorm type of moments where there's a fire burning near your community and when it gets really close to it, so if you haven't seen those embers flying, it's pretty impressive when you see it. Hopefully you guys will never see that. But for those of us who have been on these fires and you see the embers, it's pretty impressive where they go. So this is just a video. Hopefully you'll be able to see it well enough. This is the house going at the coastal fire, but it'll pan up and show you the embers flying through the air. You see those up there flying around? So those are basically little fireballs that are blowing through the community and getting up into these other homes. You see some firefighters here trying to keep the embers from getting up into the eaves and things like that. So the embers are a big problem. That's what I just really want you guys to recognize. You might not be right up against the brush where you think, oh, my house is really under the threat of a wildfire. You might be a few streets over, but the embers are going to blow over. I remember talking, I was still running the air operations program at the time of the coastal fire, and I remember talking to our helicopter crews who were flying it that night under NVG goggles, and they said it was one of the most amazing things they'd ever seen. Of the embers were literally rolling. They said it looked like a wave of embers rolling over that first row of houses on Coronado Point and all the way down into Laguna Niguel. And they thought at that point, the way it looked to them was it was going to start getting houses down in the bottom of that. So the embers travel a long distance, so it is really something that you need to watch out for. Let's see. So this is another example here on the left. You see this air conditioning unit actually burned up. They had a bunch of trash and stuff right there, so that got going. And you can see in the video here, and that's essentially what we're talking about. An ember got in next to the house. These guys were actually able to stop that little one, but we did lose some homes from some things next to the home burning off. So the embers are a big problem, and that's really what you guys need to protect from. So is your home ready? That immediate zone around your house, you want to make sure it's clean. At least 5 feet, I'd say 10 feet away from your home. Make sure it's clear of any combustible materials that could light off from these embers landing on it. Non-combustible roof, gutters, make sure your gutters are free. But your roofing materials, hopefully, wood shake shingle type roofs, those are going to be a problem in a wildfire. So if you have one of those, it's pricey. But look at getting a non-combustible roof on your house because the roofs will go quickly. Boxing your eaves. These fires will want to get up into your eaves, and some people have open eaves and they have gaps, and basically, essentially, these embers are just flying through there. They're going to get up into your attic, and they're going to cause a fire up in your attic. Vents. You guys have vents on your attic vents? Well, a lot of times they have like 1/4-inch mesh on those vents. Replace that with 8/8-inch mesh because 1/4-inch is going to still let those embers in. Don't go any smaller than an 1/8 inch because actually it'll stop the airflow into your attic and could cause some other problems. But yeah, you want to make sure you have if you have attic vents that they have that mesh because that will keep the embers out for the most part, which will then in turn save your house. Windows, if you can have dual pane with single pane tempered, that's recommended. It'll deflect the heat out of your house. That's a pretty expensive thing to do. So if you can't get the dual pane windows, just keep combustible. Don't have the real combustible type drapes hanging on the inside of them. Or if you know a fire's coming, take those down and set them in the middle of the room so that radiant heat, because that radiant heat's pretty intense even inside the house. so it'll try and catch some of those things on fire. So just make sure you don't have anything hanging against your window that could light off, essentially. Exterior siding, try not to use the wood siding, use non-combustible stucco or stone, or that, what's that material that looks like siding, but it's concrete board or whatever. Those are less combustible, and so those will actually protect the side of your house when these fires come through. Decks and patios covers, use ignition resistant material. There's a lot of materials out there besides wood to use for your decks and patio covers. I'd highly recommend using those because we've seen it on pretty much every brush fire where decks really start going, and once the decks go and they start to fall, they come into the house and it lights off the house. So make sure you guys use those if you can. Fences we already talked about, and the plants we talked about. But the ember intrusion is the big thing you guys gotta watch out for. The next is to make sure your family is ready. When these fires come, they come quick, and so you want to be prepared. We live in an area that we need to be prepared for these kinds of fires. So make sure your family is ready. I love that there's kids here tonight because the kids can participate in some stuff. So I'd say go home and come up with, hey, what's our plan look like if a fire comes into our community? Know your evacuation route. Where do you live? How are you going to get out of your community? How soon should you try and get out of your community? Because maybe it will get congested with everybody trying to get out of there. Come up with a good evacuation route and plan ahead of time, and then that way you guys will be able to get out quicker. The worst thing for us is when people stay for the fire department, when we're coming to these communities and it looks like it did in the coastal fire, and everyone's backing out of their driveways trying to make a run for it at the last second because they thought they could stay. So have your plan ready and know when it's time to go. Because it's great to do the things you can to protect your home, move things away, but there's a point where you just need to get out of there. And you could probably see it there. I tried to find some better video, but if you wait too long trying to drive out of these communities, Jeff, we've all been in situations driving through these fire areas where the smoke is so thick that you cannot see. So just know if you wait too long, there's going to be a point where you're kind of stuck in your car and it's just dark with embers flying everywhere. And having been in those situations, it's scary for us as firefighters. So I would highly recommend have a plan for your family and don't be afraid to get out of there before it's too late. Have a predetermined meeting location. Reason for this is you're not all home at the same time, right? You got kids at different places, but a fire comes through the community, know where you're gonna meet. So if the cell phones are down and you're not able to get phone calls out, have somewhere in the community that you're gonna go and meet. Hey, we're gonna meet at the high school if we ever have to evacuate. Let's meet there, then we'll figure out what we're gonna do from there. Figure that out ahead of time. Know how to contact your family members. Cell phones sometimes work, sometimes there's so many people on the phone that you just can't get out. Have ways that you can contact each other. Having that meeting spot is probably your best plan. And then have some emergency supplies. If you have medications, prescriptions that you know you need, have a go bag ready to go with that kind of stuff. So you can quickly grab that and get out of the house and go. Like I mentioned, that elderly couple that I talked to, they had that ready to go, and they were fine for, they weren't going to get back into their home, unfortunately, because it was gone, but they had their medication to at least get them through those first few days. Phones, pagers, have your phone numbers, have that locked in. Fortunately, everything's in our phone. You don't need a phone book anymore, apparently. But things like that. Keepsakes, family pictures. Something my wife does and our family does is keep all of our important documents. We scan them and download them into like a hard drive, and we keep it in a fire safe kind of, it's actually like a go bag fire safe, but you can get a real fire safe. On these fires, there's been tons of times where the safe, actually, if you have a real fire safe, it makes it through the fire. But have things like that in there, or if you have a go bag with the really important pictures and hard drives, things like that, make sure you have that ready to go so you can get it before you get out. And credit cards and cash. Make sure you have that on you, or the ability to get it, because you just don't know when you're going to be able to get back into your home. So now we're get set. The fire is approaching. So when you guys, this is going to be when there's smoke up in the hills, right? You got smoke up in the hills, something's burning, and it looks like it's coming this way. This is where you know you have a little bit of time. It's not, the fire's not right on you. You don't have to go right now. There's some things that you can do that will save your home, or can save your home, essentially. And this is your moment to do that. get all the flammable items away from your home, and the fire department crews will get there. You know, a lot of times we'll send strike teams into communities, and we'll start doing a little prep work on house, and we do the same thing. We get all the flammable stuff away from your house, try and move anything that could catch an ember around your house away, clear it as quick as you can, connect your garden hoses to your tap, but don't leave your water running. A lot of people will turn on all their sprinklers and leave water running, thinking, hope for the best, I guess. Maybe it'll wet everything down. But essentially it starts to heat the water system, and we need the water to be able to do the work that we do. So that only actually causes more of a problem. But patrol your property and extinguish small fires. You're gonna get to use a fire extinguisher tonight, so you'll learn how to do that. So if there's little small fires that you can extinguish, that's good. I would just caution you that once your stuff around your house starts to catch fire, it might be time for you guys to go. We'll be here quick. Obviously, you have a fire station here, but if there's a fire in the hills here, you're going to have a plethora of fire engines coming in to do the good work to try and save your home. So, you know, you can extinguish what you can, but still. Shut all your windows and doors. Make sure all the windows and doors are in your house. That's so the embers don't come in, the radiant heat doesn't come through easier and start catching things on fire. On that same note, make sure your garage door is closed. There was a house few streets down from the coastal fire again. When they left their garage up because they assumed the firefighters would need to get in there and make sure their house was safe. It was actually a good thought, right? They were trying to be proactive. But unfortunately, the embers came over and caught everything in their garage on fire, which ended up burning down their house. So, yeah, we were getting reports of a house burnt down on the street, and there's no way. That's like free. There's no way. And of course, there was an open garage. So make sure you close everything up, move your furniture away from the windows and doors, and shut off your air conditioning so you're not just sucking a bunch of stuff into your house. And again, just don't wait too long to go. The sheriffs will be there evacuating and working to get you guys out of there. Please listen to them when they tell you it's time to evacuate. That's probably the most important thing. It's really sad when you get there and you find people that are really, really panicked and scared because they're stuck in that smoke. So it takes us away from actually putting out the fires, and now we got to help you get out of there, and it's not a good situation for everybody. And finally, the go. So you got the ready, set, and the go. Don't get caught in the fire. Don't endanger yourself or first responders, and dress appropriately. Make sure, I don't really know what dress appropriately means, but make sure you have clothes on. But no, dress appropriately and maybe bring, yes, fire fashion, exactly. You may be on the news, you never know. You always see those people getting interviewed and they look fantastic. So they obviously listen to this slide. But dress appropriately. Make sure you have, you know, if it's nighttime, things like that. If you're going to need sweatshirts, grab them on the way out, things like that. But just be ready to evacuate when it's time to go. Hopefully you have time to be able to grab that stuff, but if you don't, you don't. You know, the Red Cross and things like that will come in and help you and support you. But that's the big takeaway there. And that is pretty much the conclusion of my piece. If you would like, you see there's an email address there. So there's a bunch of information in the back. Please take the information because it also has this email on it. If you want a free home assessment, the OCFA will come out to your home and give you a free assessment on your home, on your property. It doesn't matter, you don't have to live up against the brush. You can live in the middle of the community. You just want to know, hey, how's my home look? Is my home hardened so it won't catch fire and these types of things? We'll come around and we'll give a full inspection of your property and we'll make some recommendations. Hey, you can move some stuff here and there. So that's the email that you can actually request that. It's a really good service, so please take advantage of it, and it'll help you at least know that you're taking the steps in the right direction.